Let's say you want to work out today, or eat healthier,
Get the work you have to do done.
whether that's school or your job. You know that you can do it, and you have several times before. You're hardworking, determined, and invested in yourself and how you want to spend your time. You have this drive in you to accomplish your goals. You want to accomplish them. You're on the way too. You know what you want, how to get there, and the hard things and tasks that stand in the way. You're excited about these goals you have that are going to help you become the person you want to become. But you struggle. Struggle to stick through with these difficult tasks because let's face it, it's hard. It's uncomfortable. What you did yesterday isn't at all what you want to do today. You may be able to go sometimes and accomplish the difficult goals you set for yourself one day, but then others, like today, we run into a roadblock. We conform back to our old ways, what's easier and comfortable, wasting away time on our phone, playing video games, procrastinating what you know you should be doing. You think to yourself, why can't I stick with it? Why can't I stay consistent? You've got the drive and desire to change for the better, so why do I keep finding myself demotivated and unable to do what I know is best for me? Now, researchers have studied why we as humans struggle to achieve our goals, and it comes down to how our brains are wired. It's not all our fault. It's how we as humans have been built to function after surviving the conditions we as species have had to face over 2 million years. A study in 2016 studied 28,000 people in real time and demonstrated after tracking them and their activities and moods that essentially we are wired to move towards things that make us feel good and away from things that make us uncomfortable. They call it the
Hedonic
principle. This is why short-term pleasures that provide instant gratification are so dangerous and are so addictive, like mindlessly scrolling on social media for hours, gossiping and engaging in negative conversations, and excessive alcohol or drug use. It also explains why we procrastinate and find it so difficult to do the hard tasks we want to accomplish. Our brain takes the effort that is required for these things that lead to our goals and label them as bad since, well, it feels bad and it takes so much effort. The lazy little shit. So, it's our brain's fault. But also, kind of, still you too, still kind of weird to think of for sure. Anyways, the resistance we feel against these tasks can be intense and overwhelming, which leads us to that roadblock that we just can't seem to get over that we so often face. So now you're probably wondering, Ayo, how are we supposed to accomplish our goals and problems if our brain is literally wired to avoid them? We can't just rewire them. Don't worry, there's a couple ways to combat this wiring in our brains. Do the harder tasks when you're in a good mood. That 2016 study with those 28,000 people found that when we're upset, we're less likely to try the harder tasks that we have. But when we're in a positive and more upbeat mood, these tasks that are so hard and difficult to accomplish that we know are essential to improving our life, we're far more likely to get done and accomplished. I plan on making my next video completely related on how to improve your mood more often so you can get more difficult tasks done. But also, a quick way to do it right now is to do some reappraisal to yourself. Reassess those things that your brain is trying to convince you to do and reframe them. An example of this would be telling yourself when you're contemplating going to the gym or not is, I'm gonna feel so much better after doing cardio. If it's a project or homework that you're working on, I'm gonna be so much less stressed and get it off my chest if I work on part of it right now. Or if you're trying to eat healthier, not eating that fast food will make sure I don't fart later and then realize it's not just a fart. Taco Bell, my stomach going through hell. Make the autonomy questions you have to yourself more innovative and specific. If you're not sure of what autonomy means, it's a person's ability to act on his or her own interests and values. So basically, those questions in your head when you're debating doing something or not. It's easy for our brains to go for what's immediately pleasurable, so it oftentimes provides what seems like good reasons to take the easy route. Ways and reasons to convince ourselves it's acceptable. I can have ice cream, because it's been a while. I've been going to the gym more consistently, you can take this day off.
Huh?
I've been reading more lately, how about I binge some TV shows on TikTok? It's easy for these things to come up. Instead, when these start to appear, we should try to reframe these things. Present options and say them to yourself that will highlight the results that will come with them. Reappraisal kind of, if you will, kind of like mentioned earlier. Also, I personally learned to start saying the positive thing first and the results of the negative second. It just sounds a lot better that way. It'll convince you a lot more. I could have this meal that has a bunch of protein in it and will help me feel full. Or I could have this banana bread that'll keep me up for a while and my stomach's probably gonna hurt from it. If I go to the gym today, by the end, when I'm done, I'm gonna feel accomplished, better, and sleep better tonight. Or I could skip, feel bad about not going, and have a harder time sleeping. And lastly, shift your identity. When you're gonna be doing these hard tasks that aren't easy, eventually you're gonna start asking these questions of yourself. Why am I doing this? Why should I keep going? Why don't I stop right now? In these most difficult moments, when you're working hard and at your limit, these will come up. A good way to deal with these is to know them beforehand. So I'm asking you right now, why are you thinking of doing this? Why should you keep going? Why don't you stop? Now, I can't guess your answer. Of course, we're all very different, so all our answers are going to look a lot different. But here's what's been helping me when those questions come up. Hopefully, they'll also be able to help you. Whenever these come up in my head, usually, of course, it depends which task I'm pursuing and how intense it is. But my most reliable thought is the one that I adopted from the man himself.
They don't know me, son!
When he was always doing his most difficult task, he'd always tell himself, in his words, I'm that motherfucker. Basically, in other words, this is what I do, this is who I am now. He went through it more than what I'll probably ever go through in my life when he was just 7 even. But telling this to myself is what personally helps me when these questions appear. Try it and identify yourself as someone that does these difficult tasks because it encourages you and tells you that that's your new normal. This is who you are, this is what you do. Don't be too hard on yourself. Of course, like anyone, we're all gonna keep making mistakes and we're gonna keep running through these roadblocks here and there for sure. It's just a human thing to do. So when you do, try to keep these tips in mind, especially when that wiring in our brain is giving that little bit of extra resistance sometimes, and to procrastinate and just run into these roadblocks here and there, and it's completely normal and it happens to everyone. Just take these tasks head on, one day at a time, and just do the best that you can do that day, because at the end of the day, that's all we can truly do. What matters is how you respond after that roadblock. What matters is if you still show up. Even if you've procrastinated, taken a month off, take a couple of days off from your goals, keep showing up, and soon, give it time, you'll find yourself enjoying the tasks that lead to your goals and accomplishing them, which will put you in a better mood, which will lead more often to you doing them, and you'll be able to start doing hard things easier.